Welcome back, everybody. More WPC action coming your way. We've got our last series for today. 2 games between Invictus Gaming and Newbee. It's a thrill to end things off. We started off with a great DK vs LGD series. Then IG got down to business against Orenda, but we've got a big game to end things off. And luckily, I'm not alone for this game. I'm going to be joined by my fellow caster, Baseskip. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this game. How you holding up, Gods?
I'm fantastic. It sounds like a
Awesome.
lot of games, but it's like they're best of 2s, so it's not actually that many games, and going strong.
Yeah, it's nice to when you're casting a long stretch to know exactly how many games it is. Like if you tell
Yeah.
somebody it's 3 best of 3s, and then all 3 of them are 3 game
Yeah.
sets, and you have a couple of hour plus matches. That's when things start to get tough. But best of 2s, it's always 2 games. You can consistently count down towards the end. Not that we're counting.
No,
We're
no.
looking forward to every single game.
I'm definitely getting a bit unfocused because I just turned off the lights before I even cut away from the camera. So I need to focus here. We got IG vs Newbie. We'll hop ourselves on over to the Chinese stream to show you guys the draft. I look like an idiot when I just turn off the lights while I'm on camera.
It's fine, Gods. No, nobody will remember.
No, they
Yeah.
won't. I
We'll
gotta get
just
people in the mood. It matches the stars. Lights off, and we get down to business.
so some mood lighting going on.
Yeah. We're on the draft now, anyways. IG playing on the Dire side for game 1, Newbie on the Radiant, and an interesting draft. We see some heroes that are not, well, one hero that's normally banned out actually making it through, that being the Lycan.
Yeah, Lycan makes it through. I mean, his win rate isn't 100%, but just thinking about it, I've definitely seen teams beat the Lycan, but I feel like it often just has to come down to play more than the draft. Like there are ways to mitigate the impact of the Lycan in the draft. We've seen some teams be very successful with Tree. Picking up stuff like Naga Siren to be able
Yeah.
to lock him down in BKB is nice. Dazzle's nice because you can weave your team and everybody survives that little bit longer. But there's no one, I feel that there's no one surefire drafting strategy that's going to win you a game against the Lycan. And any small slip up can just lose you the game because you lose 1 or 2 pickoffs and then the Lycan takes 3 of your towers and then
Yeah.
they just snowball off that gold lead. So it's difficult, but I would say doable for IG. Just so much of it comes down to execution.
Yeah, and on that point, like, while I don't think there's like a draft to beat a Lycan, there are drafts that straight up lose to Lycan. Like, you have to draft so
Yeah.
that you can actually defend towers, have some lockdown, have decent damage output, which is where, like, even a hero like Shadow Shaman matches up well against Lycan because he's got lots of disables. He has the Serpent Wards for extra physical damage, and it's just going to make this overall a lot more of an effective draft. I mean, it's not so much like their draft isn't going to counter a Lycan, but it's going to give them at least put them on an equal footing to the Lycan, and then it comes down to how teams execute.
Yeah, it gives them a chance to trade tier 1, tier 2. Like the Shadow Shaman is enough self-contained push that so long as the Mass Serpent Wards are up, they can maybe engage into a little bit of a trade. And that's often something that you can't say about your draft against the Lycan. Hardly anything pushes fast enough.
Well,
But
IG threw a curveball with this fourth pick. Well,
yeah, Axe. I don't know, we've been seeing a lot of him recently.
yeah, especially with the
Korea.
dazzle. Teams love him with the dazzle, especially, I would say.
So I wonder if this is something that teams have been trying to run against the Lycan, running an aggro try, and notably, I would say quite a bit with the axe. So we'll see. Might end up being aggressive. I think the Naga Siren should do okay 1v1 against the puck. Probably going to be your farming Naga, since
Yeah.
they've already picked up their 2 supports. So yeah, this could work out well.
It's almost where, like, if you look towards what some of the Western teams are doing in this kind of situation, this is where a team like EG would be like, well, we don't want our Lycan against the tri-lane. Let's send him mid against the Naga Siren and put Puck in the safe lane solo type role. And that's something which Zhao in the past has been really big on, switching up lanes to do unconventional things to kind of react to what he sees opponents do. So maybe Newbie look to send someone like Lycan mid with Puck in the safe lane as a solo, or even Puck in like with the Rubik and stuff in the safe lane does better than the Lycan does against an Axe Dazzle offensive tri lane.
Yeah, and Newbie actually go for Enigma here. So Eidolons plus Howl is bonkers, but it's
It's
a
still
little bit
like
interesting
it's
and
very
it's pretty
niche.
greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be an Enigma jungle, though. We'll have to wait and see. In theory, like, it's one of the things where, sure, you've got a dual lane against the Axe, but if Enigma comes out of the jungle with 6 Eidolons and a Malefice, he could actually help out quite a lot against that lane, but I feel like if you want to do that, you'd rather go for an Enchantress, but Enchantress was banned out by IG, somewhat maybe in preparation for this Axe pick.
Yeah, and I mean we do see Enigma normally is that really farmy jungler, and people normally just take full advantage of how quickly he can jungle, pretty much the fastest jungler in the game. But he's not half bad at ganking either. And with the changes to Malefice as well, I think we have seen some players be pretty successful with just picking up some early smokes, making their way around and ganking vulnerable lanes. And they could potentially get a kill on something like a Naga Sign with just a well-timed Enigma rotation.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what we'll see what's going to be happening. Apparently, okay, that makes sense. Well, yeah, let's say someone. I saw someone in the chat say like, "What are these Chinese casters doing with the lanes?" These lanes look fairly expected on the Chinese stream. Axe, Dazzle, Shadow Shaman, offensive tri lane. You have your Rubik, Lycan, safe lane with an Enigma jungle. That's kind of like your most cookie cutter way of doing the lanes. But I don't know if you want to send Puck solo against a Naga Siren because there's not going to be any ganks for the Naga Siren if it's offensive tri lane because the supports will be entirely busy with this bottom lane. So I think it's actually a big mistake if Newbee send the Puck mid against Naga because I think that is almost like, I don't know about insta loss for them, but it's going to really give them a lot of struggles. Like I think it's something they definitely want to try to avoid at all costs.
Yeah, it's not nearly as much pressure on the Naga Siren as I think you like as you want. And I think you mentioned a strong possibility for Newbie is they could maybe put the Lycan mid, and then they could put the Puck down on the safe lane, and that frees up the Rubik and Enigma a little bit. So
Yeah.
maybe the Enigma can move up into the aggressive jungle, put some pressure on the Darks here. The Rubik can maybe hang around mid a little bit, just harass the Naga Siren. So you sort of end up with a half duo lane mid, a duo lane top, and then Puck just kind of soloing down on the safe lane, trying to get what he can against the aggro tribe. Because, I don't know, I don't feel like Newbee's defensive tri-lane, at least the way that the Chinese stream has it set up right now, is particularly well positioned to get on against what
Yeah.
IG have.
Yeah, and I feel that the other thing now with this Darkseid pick from IG, it even opens up the game to all kinds of like crazy, like if they want to send Darkseer in a quad lane bottom, like they can push down fast towers because Darkseer Iron Shell onto the axe is obviously painful. Even if he's not actually, I mean, I imagine it'll be more standard like 3-1-1 lane setup, but just come mid game time, Iron Shell on the axe gives him a lot more damage output. He gets more survivability from a Darkseer with a mech as well as just general surging. So this is a really scary draft as Newbee last pick a Nyx Assassin for Zhao 8, generally the offlane player for the team. So it is going to be a support slash jungle Enigma for Newbee.
Yeah, I wonder what the plan is here. I guess Enigma maybe not the worst solo against Darkseer. I don't see it being particularly favorable, but at least you can
No.
convert the Iron Shelled creep now and
Well,
again.
King J's normally on
It-
support now, so I think this is
okay.
actually like support jungle
Okay.
for him.
The Nyx is not a strong solo at all here against either the Naga Siren or the Darkseer. So
I agree.
I don't know what the plan is.
Looks like Zhao 8 may be heading up towards the top lane. As we somewhat talked about, I think Lycan is going to be going mid here for Newbee. He's been pulled a couple Tengos, has Quelling Blade and Stout Shield. I think he's going mid lane with the Puck and the safe lane. So it'll be like a Puck plus Rubik lane. So I think this is the best possible way to lane things for Newbee. Puck actually going level 1 TP scroll. Interesting.
I think the thing is that there's a chance that he ends up just randomly orbing into the trees. I think we actually cast a game
Yeah.
the other day where it was like aggro try against the Puck, and the Puck ended up orbing into the trees.
Yeah.
And then I guess this way with an early TP, he can just TP back to the tier 2 or make his way out, even if he ends up in that position. So it looks like Moo has already kind of thought the way that this lane plays out pretty far ahead.
All right. Well, we'll introduce our two teams here for our first game of this two-game series. It's Newbee versus IG. Over on the Radiant side is going to be Team Newbee. We're going to see King J on the Enigma. Starting off towards the offlane in generally the support role, we've got Zhao 8 in the offlane as well on the Nyx Assassin. Solo mid's going to be Hao on the Lycan, the carry player for Newbee. We've got Banana, the support, Rubik at bottom, and then finally, Moo's going to be playing a safe lane solo Puck with some kind of unusual items here. TP scroll, 3 branches. He'll be looking to farm away at that bottom lane.
Yeah, and introducing Invictus Gaming over in the Dire, we have Faith handling the Dazzle, going to make his way down and scout out the 0-minute double damage urn. Ferrari 430 is going to be on the Naga Siren, actually heading up the tri-lane right now. Chon is going to be on the Shadow Shaman. Heading towards mid, we have Z or Luo on the Axe, and that leaves YYF on his signature Darkseer to handle the
Man.
safe lane.
So Axe solo mid's like, I think they just predicted Lycan to be mid and said, look, let's send Axe there to crush him, and we'll put the Naga bottom. I think IG just read what Newbee were going to do with their lane, so they mixed it up even more.
Yeah, and I don't know if they actually managed to scout out anything at level 1. I think this might have all been just predicting what Newbee were going to do, because I don't think we saw any level 1 wards spotting people or anything like that.
Yep. Yeah, the expected way to lane the Axe Dazzle is generally offensive trialing, but they mix things up, give Lycan a tough time in the mid lane. Lycan can always fall back, try and jungle a little bit once he maybe gets a couple more levels, but he's probably thinking like, I wish I was bottom against this Shadow Shaman plus Naga lane right now with my supports.
Yeah, I think this is really smart from IG. Faith got really unlucky there. He had the double damage, and I think he missed 3 times uphill trying to hit the Rubik, so Banana ends up completely unscathed. And King J, I really like this from him. He's starting off aggressive. He's actually cutting the wave right now to put some pressure down on the Darkseer. So this is the way that Newbee are going to try and free things up from mid by pulling the Dazzle towards top lane with a little bit of aggression.
They're doing what we kind of expected IG to be doing with their offensive trialing, like creep skipping, pressuring the tower. And it's coming from Newbee of all teams. I guess that's their way of responding to potential aggression, is by just going for the aggression of their own. And this forces Faith to the top lane, so it'll give Lycan at least a heads-up 1v1 matchup without Dazzle interfering, which is a lot better for Hal. But it's still a tough matchup, especially now that the Berserker's Call is leveled up.
Yeah, and I think this puck is actually going to end up doing very reasonably in terms of both CS and levels down on bottom lane. He's still got, he's still got the pull camp to be able to use if the lane pushes out too far, so I think things should be just fine for Moo.
Hal going to just fall back from the mid lane, and he pushes it out, he kills off a jungle camp, then he can return to the lane, misses maybe like at most 1 creep, and he makes up for it with this neutral camp. Luckily it's a pretty easy to kill neutral camp, no centaurs or anything like that. And, well, Newbee, I mean, both teams continually rotating lanes. It looks like King J says, look, they're not going to let us pressure this tower early as they rotate the supports. He's going to fall back to the jungle and probably just get a bit greedier with his play. Try and get that soaring up as fast as possible to accelerate his farm.
Yeah, and the nice thing for IG as well, I guess in general with these duo lanes, is everyone is going to be getting a lot of experience and quite a bit of farm. So it should spice up the mid game quite a bit as well, just because everyone should be in a good spot.
Yes, as, well, okay. Bottle up on Hal for the mid lane, and Dazzle once again back mid. So this is what Dazzle got forced top by the Enigma being there, but now Enigma's left, Dazzle's back mid. But I think for Enigma to rotate again will just hurt his farm too much, so I don't think King J will look to go back top. At least not till maybe he has like Soul Ring or some boots, and maybe he'll smoke up there later on to try and gank while we're from the Darkseer. But for now, he's in this Radiant jungle. He'll stay there for at least a little bit to get a few more levels of farm.
Yeah, and I feel like I might actually have to reevaluate my stance on this Nyx versus Darkseer 1v1 a little bit. I mean, there was a bit of interruption from the Enigma, but it looks like Xiaohui's just been pretty heavily leaning on the mana burn and making it much more difficult for the Darkseer to actually get too much farm and spam Ion Shell here. Though I think he has a Soul Ring coming out, so that's going to help out a lot.
I think if it's a straight-up 1v1 from the start, it's definitely Darkseer favored, but just that small little edge, the Rubik and Enigma game Nyx, makes a big difference, because it just allowed Darkseer to get completely... He used all his mana and didn't actually get lots of farm from those first couple Iron Shells. Mid lane, though, they've gone in on Hal. The heal bomb's there with a Berserker's Call. 2 points in the call. Hal does have the bottle, and I think RNG just working a little against Luo there. Didn't get as many spins as he was hoping for, but even so... fairly tanky as Hal in the mid lane. He's got 4 base armor, which helps quite a bit against this counter Helix.
Yeah, I was just about to say the Lycan's base armor is actually really reasonable, and he hasn't even picked up a Ring of Protection just yet, or a Bassi, so it's only going to get better from there.
Well, he's bottle crowing, which is what you'd probably expect, especially considering he's up against this tough lane. Meanwhile, Banana's got himself invis at bottom lane, and it looks like Enigma nearby could consider rotating towards there, but actually he doesn't have mana for a Malefice, so I don't think we're going to see too much blood being spilled at this bottom lane just yet. There is a Soul Ring, but that's still going to wait for the courier to go mid before it actually comes out to the Enigma. But this is a very just interesting early game. Lots of lane switching, lots of movement from both teams, and just some unconventional lanes and picks as a result of just like both teams trying to predict what the other's going to be doing.
Yeah, and since it looks like we're going to be moving into the mid game pretty cleanly, I guess we should talk about how that mid game probably plays out. And I think this kind of start favors Newbee. They were the ones that were looking like they were going to be under pressure from the aggressive tri lane, and the solo lanes weren't looking particularly great, but now they're getting farm on the heroes that they wanted on, and the Puck and the Lycan have such a huge impact in the mid game. I mean, the Naga Siren has a good start, but we've seen that even with a good start, it's still going to be at least 15 minutes for a Radiance, and then you still need quite a bit after that to really be up and running. So
Ferrari has to be careful because Banana's hiding here in the trees at the bottom lane, and with Shadow Shaman TPing top, actually going to see maybe a kill here. Xiaowe's gone in very aggressive here. Still has a point in the carapace, but just level 1. YYF just body blocking him, forcing out these right clicks, and Xiaowei, I think he's going to barely survive this one. TP coming in even from Banana, so that actually opens up space for Ferrari up bottom lane, because that Rubik was looking to pressure Ferrari, but the TP forced up top. Small victory for IG, just as far as positioning goes.
that was really unfortunate for YYF. The Ion Shelled creep just went nowhere near the Nyx Assassin for the entire duration of the gank. It started off fighting a random Radiant creep, and then as it started to aggro across, it was already too late. So I think that was the big problem, just no Ion Shell damage for the gank.
Well, Newbee also have a puck up to level 6 now, so with the TP scroll, the Dream Call, he can look to easily rotate to one of these other lanes to set for kill. If they get too aggressive mid going in on How, he'll TP in, and similar story at top lane. Now that he's level 6, a similar... Oh, I see it's a gank on bottom lane. They've used Dream Call on Ferrari. Here's Xiaowei with a Vendetta Impale. First blood goes to Newbee. Successful rotation. Xiaowei, after healing up, TP's bottom. I didn't actually realize he was level 6 already, but that's a huge pickup for Newbee in the early game.
Yeah, especially after surviving that gank top as well, so... A little bit of lost time for IG on top lane, a really nice setback for Newbee on bottom lane, getting that kill on the Naga Siren.
Yeah.
And I think things are looking pretty good. We've got a Vanguard up on the Axe, so that means it's going to take him a little while to get up to his Blink Dagger. I don't mind this so much. There's a lot of, there's the Eidolons, so there's going to be lots of creeps, and there's the Wolves and whatnot as well. So it seems like a pretty reasonable choice this game, but it does slow down his Blink Dagger, of course. And he's the one hero that really needs to be making plays in the early to mid game. The Darkseer still wants to get quite a bit of farm. The Naga Siren is just not going to be a factor, like we mentioned, for a while. So it pretty much all rests on the shoulders of the Axe to determine how well they do early to mid game.
And with the much slower Blink Dagger, I think it's IG just almost saying, like, we're going to be not really applying that much pressure in this next 5 to 10 minutes of the game. Because I would say we're already at the mid game, even though we're 7 minutes in. You've got most heroes level 6 with their ultis, like Pucker's Dream Call, Nyx's Vendetta. At this stage, these heroes are ready to start ganking, and IG say, look, we're going tanky, we're going to play defensive and let you guys come to us, and it'll be IG looking to just counter TP, using stuff like the Dazzle with a Grave to just prevent these kills from actually happening. And if they can do that, and if they can get towards a Radiance on Naga Siren, I think IG is still looking okay, but their lineup is just going to be coming online a lot later, and that's where if Newbee get any momentum, they'll start taking tower after tower using this Lycan, and that's where it gets tough for IG.
Yeah, and the fact that IG have been moving around quite a bit more and Newbee have just sort of settled into really comfortable farming positions is showing up in the hero levels. The heroes that have moved the most for IG have ended up a little bit behind Chon, Faith, and also Ferrari. Not all the way up there. Not a huge difference, but still substantial for this point.
Here we go, Smoke Gang towards the mid lane. Nyx could be looking to line up an Impale. There's going to be a Dream Call to start things off. Mana Burn initially going to go. Impale off the mark as well. Faith should be an easy kill here. The question is, can they get much more here? The Song of the Siren there. Faith is actually still alive. Ferrari going to look to set things up here. Xiaowei and Mu could be in some trouble. Tron TP's in. He's got no Serpent Wards, but immediate attacks coming out. IG could be in trouble now because Hao's actually showing up with a shapeshift. He's actually chasing forward. He's killed the Dazzle, not going to get any more. And Puck and Nyx do take a fall, so IG do just fine. The TP in from a Naga Siren, not a hero you normally expect to be coming to a fight this early on, but that Song of the Siren was clutch.
Yeah, and Faith even managed to duck off to the side and get a little bit of Salvin and Clarity action going on. Still, like you said, was brought down by the Lycan, but just fantastic counter gank from IG.
Yep. TP in just in time to save him. The Impale being off the mark there, he also threw it at the Dazzle who had already graved himself. Like, Dazzle graved himself, and then the Impale was directed towards him, when I think they could have just gone towards someone else, like instead. I don't think they had to both look to go on the Dazzle there. But well, a small victory as well. Actually, another look at that fight here. The Impale could have been thrown at the Darkseer, and instead he throws it towards the Dazzle and just completely misses it. And then the TP in with the Song of the Siren, and well, with the reset, IG managed to come out on top.
Yeah, but Song of the Siren, I mean, that was the big cooldown that really turned that fight around for them, and now Newbee don't have to deal with it for a little while. They've also managed to steal Shadow Wave on the Rubik, so I think they might be able to pressure down at tier 1 pretty soon. We'll see.
Okay, yeah, they've got the Soul Ring on Enigma. I imagine that's going to be the mech buyer for the team, and with 1100 gold, this mech will come up pretty fast. Enigma a pretty good flash farmer when he comes down to it, and if they can get a tower or two here and there, that mech will come up even faster, and that's where I feel Newbee, with mech plus Vlads, they'll also have this Puck Blink soon. Their 5-man's going to be a lot scarier than what IG have.
Yeah, and why do IG not have anybody top? Mu is just getting absolute free farm up here, and YYF has been booted out of middle lane. Ferrari gets the farm priority.
I think Ferrari's just like, it's taking him too long. Like, he's having to invest so much in TP scrolls and just moving. He had to TP mid to save that fight, and I think walking back top would just slow down his farm too much. I think is his reasoning right now.
Yeah, only 1,300 gold 10 minutes into the game on the Naga Siren. You can tell that this Naga has been rotating around, and this is not looking like a very fast Radiance at all.
Well, now he's going to keep himself bottom. Hasn't gone straight for the Vlads, picked up the treads. Instead, going to see Serpent Wards get dropped, and it looks like IG going to make the first move to really commit for a tower now. It's not really a foregone conclusion that this tower's going down. Glyph going to be popped here, and
Dire's top tower
IG kind of struggling to bring it down. They've lost most of their clip wave here. Riptide going to actually go through 3-4 heroes. That was a big Riptide from those illusions. Not often you see Naga Siren getting this involved early on, but I see Ferrari's at mid lane. He's doing damage to all these heroes from mid lane. And the tower is going to go down one way or another. We'll have to see if it gets denied or not by Newbee. Shapeshift is up for Lycan. Lycan goes to 9, does not get it.
Radiant's bottom tower
Doesn't want to have to pop the Shapeshift. We'll have to see if the chase is coming on. Puck meanwhile trades for top tier 1 tower, so actually not a bad exchange for Newbee, I feel.
Yeah, I think that was really reasonable for Newbee, and they almost got the deny as well, so had that happened, that would have been a really big win.
And for Newbee, like, their lineup is close
Radiant's
to just
middle
being at
tower
its,
is
like,
under
peak of
attack.
strength. Once they have Lads, Mech, and Blink Dagger on Puck, they're ready to fight. For IG, they need still another 5 or so minutes. So trading tier 1 towers right now just helps Newbee get to their timing that much faster, whereas for IG, they've still got some ways to go. So I feel if
Dire's
Newbee look
top
to
tower is
properly
under attack.
apply pressure for the next 5 minutes of the game, they can take control. They want to get map control and just try and take some actual fights in their favor.
And really nice play from Hao. He split off the wolves, he got a little bit of scouting done, and he also managed to deny the regen that spawn bot that Ferrari was making his way down to grab. So ends up being a little bit of extra wasted time on top of the on top of all the other obstacles that Ferrari has faced up until this point.
Regen Rune, that's a pretty big deal when you look at a Naga Siren. Like, that probably cost him like 300 to 400 gold maybe in farm time, just because it just gives him that extra HP and mana to use to actually farm these neutrals. Now instead he's forced to bottle Crow, he can't tank as much damage, can't spam his spells as much, so very annoying for IG. Now Newbee, they're smoked up, they're looking for more blood towards this bottom lane, and YYF's going to be the one sitting behind the tower. He's 40 gold away from a mech, unfortunately. Doesn't have it up just yet, but for now it's just some wards being plopped down in the lane.
Yeah, there's a Blink Dagger ready on the axe, and Newbee haven't seen this just yet, so this could be Luo's opportunity to make some really big plays.
Has gone for the Max Berserker's Core build, which is, I think, becoming the more popular
Standard.
build. Yeah. It used to be like, oh, you always max Battle Hunger by 7, but Battle Hunger, it just doesn't win you fights, it doesn't get you kills really, and it doesn't really do that much apart from a bit of damage. It's worth getting that 1 value point for the
Dire's
movement
bottom
speed, though,
tower
but
is
he hasn't
under
actually
attack.
done that. I think it's still okay to knock. He doesn't have the mana to sustain it really that well.
No, not with this build. I mean, it's just a magic stick, and he walks out and reveals the Blink Dagger now, so they lose the element of surprise, but it looks like they're feeling that Ferrari can apply a little bit of pressure mid as the exchange, though Newbee have some heroes ready there as well. And the great thing for Newbee is almost that there's heroes bought for IG, but there's no tier 1 tower for them to take if Newbee choose to back off. So if they just choose to swing everything over
Dire's
towards
middle
mid and
tower
5-man
is
down
under
that tier
attack.
1, well, IG can't really get a trade out of it. Though they are going to go for a smoke and see if they can catch something.
Ferrari and Moose spot each other, give each other a little high five here in the bottom
Dire's
river,
middle
but they'll wander
tower
off their own
has
directions,
fallen.
and the smoke you talked about is coming towards the mid lane, but the tier 1 tower already down, and Newbee had that lane ward. Oh no, they got dewarded here by the lane ward, but they still knew exactly where IG were with 3 to 4 heroes, so they could well expect this rotation. They're actually heading towards the top lane, knowing that IG are practically the only place they can be is in their jungle, or maybe at Roshan. They're actually pinging Roshan right now, which is not where IG are, but IG positioned near this
Radiant's
tier
top
1 mid.
tower is under attack.
We'll have to see if they try and push this one out with Ferrari, who's already in the mid lane, so they can maybe go for that tier 1 mid tower with the Serpent Ward.
This is just such nice movement from Newbee. Like, they went bot and they realized, oh hey, if they come and defend here and we leave, what can they do? I mean, IG were just kind of left sitting there twiddling their thumbs, and also, as you said, that ward kind of spotted out the smoke a little bit, and they just bailed away from mid as quickly as they could. So with that, Newbee get a completely unequal trade, and not even a trade at the end of the day. And they're going to go for a smoke and look for something of their own here. I don't think they were spotted, though there is a dire ward in the neighborhood.
as good as these small little trades are for Newbee, it still feels like Naga Siren with a Radiant is like the late game carry. Like Lycan,
Yeah.
he's shines during the mid game, and if they don't actually dominate this mid game, I feel they're in trouble. There's gonna be a blink waiting ripped in. They've got a perfect engagement here. It looks like they pick off the dazzle to start things off. There is gonna be a shackle on the puck, but Luo in a lot of trouble. He's taking big damage here. The mech gonna heal him up. Mech on both sides being used now, and with the Serpent Wards down, Newbee realized, hey, look, we can't really fight, but this means Serpent Ward's on cooldown for about 100 seconds. They're not going to push during that 100 seconds. We can now look to take a fight. Maybe even farm up these Serpent Wards, getting some nice farming experience, although they do have to worry a little bit about this axe.
Yeah, but Newbee, they get the pick off there, but they've also been moving Hao into position down on bottom lane. So he does a little bit of split pushing, gets some TPs out, and Newbee might just be able to group up and go for another smoke. They're constantly being scattered out by some really nice wards from IG and the non-stop Naga Siren illusions making their way through, but well, we'll see what they can do.
Second Blink Dagger picked up now for Newbee, so they've got Nyx Assassin as well as Puck with Blinks. Puck's taking a bit of damage at mid lane, but he's got full bottle charges, which he'll now start drinking through. And it looks like Newbee are thinking about pressuring this last tier 1 tower at the bottom lane. It's very low here, but pushing into the axe with a Blink Dagger, and especially if Darkseer shows up as well to drop an Iron Shell, could be quite tricky to do. But I think they should be able to safely get this one.
Dire's
Eidolons,
structures are fortified.
howled Eidolons with Lycan Wolf just going to chip away at this tower, and I think IG just going to accept the fact they cannot defend it. They
Dire's
use a
bottom
glyph, but the
tower
tier 1
is
tower
under
will go
attack.
down. For
Dire's
IG, though, it's
bottom
always
tower
about
has
buying time. They've
fallen.
pretty much accepted the fact that this game is going to be decided by this Naga Siren Radiance, and we'll have to see exactly how that works out for them.
Yeah, it really sucks that they ended up using the Serpent Wards for the team fight on mid, and it didn't really get them anything, because otherwise they could have used them to try and trade for the tier 1 mid with a little bit of pressure from the Rasta.
Call caught out too here. King J needs to get the mech off, does do so, but he's still in dunk range. Luo, Black Hole, catches out 2, immediately cancelled though. Darkseer finished off the Enigma, 1-1 trade, Shadow Shaman gonna buy back. There's your surged up axe, but he's actually getting stunned up. I think it was the Maleficent stun. He wants Banana. Banana has a TP scroll. Can he actually get out of here? Blink Call, gonna catch up Banana. Looks like both the Newbee supports will go down, but it was a 2-for-1 trade. Was a buyback from Shadow Shaman as well. Because Chuan with absolutely 0 in terms of item progression now. He doesn't have Arcane Boots, doesn't have a Magic Stick, doesn't have any way near a Blink Dagger, so it still feels like Newbee are doing okay with these trades.
Yeah, IG want this tier 1 mid with the Serpent Wards, and it looks like they might actually be able to get it, so
Yeah.
maybe the
They're also
buyback
picking
from Tron
Middle
is going to end up
Tower
paying
is under
dividends.
attack.
Tower gold
Radiant
for IG is
structures
important
are
at this stage, because
fortified.
this is what's going to get Ferrari that Radiance just that little bit faster. And it looks like they'll leave the Serpent Wards to finish off the tower. They accept the fact it may get denied, but it probably shouldn't be possible. No, it's not possible. Goes down to the Dire
Radiant's
Siege
middle
Wagon,
tower
and
has fallen.
IG just back off. Or do
Really
that.
nice.
Iron Shell Axe, and he's gonna... That was like 2 spins. I'm dead. That Rubik's so squishy. Banana is literally food for Luo.
Yeah, and the Axe is just playing Rambo whenever he can, and like you said, I think this is actually fine, because
Yeah.
even if he only ends up sort of trading 1-for-1 at every opportunity, even though that was just a clean kill, it's still about the time, it's still about the space created in. Ferrari hasn't been disturbed for a while now. We were a little bit worried about his Radiance timing, and it is arguably a little bit slow if you compare it to, say, a free farm safe lane or just a solo mid, but
Vendetta through, and he's getting cut by a call. Another kill for IG. This is the kind of pickoffs which I feel really hurt Newbee, and I mean, you're talking about it. The Radiance timing is not the best, but it's coming up soon, and that's all that matters for IG. Because this Lycan,
yeah.
sure, he's 1-0-1 with the top net worth, but at the end of the day, Lycan is not going to scale all that well. He needs to start snowballing by taking down tower after tower, but to do so, they need to win a fight. But winning fights against this Axe and potentially against Naga Siren, who can just come in with a Song of the Siren to disengage, is going to be very tricky to do.
Yeah, and Axe has a Blade Mail now. He's actually just monstrous for this point in the game. Like, lead farmer on his team, he can pretty much jump into, I would say, almost any numbers right now, so long as he has just a little bit of backup. So this is a scary time to be Newbee. And it seems like the peak timing of the Axe is almost perfect to cover the space that the Naga Siren needs to be weak and not really a contributor to the team, because Axe sort of covers for both heroes at this point.
And that's where like they made a lineup which not only buys time for the Naga Siren with an Axe, but they buff up the Axe with a Dazzle as well as the Darkseer. 2 heroes which really synergize fantastic with the Axe, with the Iron Shell as well as the Mech Buyer and the Darkseer. I mean, most lineups have a Mech Buyer, but then the Grave as well as the heals from the Dazzle, giving them so much damage output that they can fight so easily, even without Naga Siren. And Naga Siren now is Radiant, so Ferrari's good to go. He's level 10. He's pretty much got all he needs. Sure, he's not. He's like the second before he was even the third top farmer in his team, but that will quickly change now he has this Radiant.
Yeah, and almost all of the farm is available to him as well. Like, yes, YYF still needs to get a little bit, but the Axe, he's a core, but he doesn't really need to spend any time jungling, any time farming. He's willing to be on the front foot and be aggressive and just finding hero kills for the rest of the game. And that can sometimes be the problem with the Naga Siren, that she, similar to a Tinker in some ways, soaks up a lot of farm from your team. This game, not really a problem.
I think YYF, he's actually really farmed this Dark Seer. Mech and almost the pipe completed. I think it's almost more the supports who need the farm. Like heroes like Shadow Shaman, you want to try to get a Blink Dagger on. There's another Blink Call. They're going to catch out How here. Impel coming in on Lure. May need a Grave to keep Lure alive. He's still fairly survivable. The Dark Seer going to drop the wall here. And with this, Newbee going to disengage. They've already lost one Necrobolt. Zhao Wei just going to pop the Carapace and run. It looks like IG happy to just disengage. They lose no one. They get a tower. They get more time and space for Naga Siren to just keep on farming.
Yeah, I think if they hadn't used the Serpent Wards for the tower, they might have considered taking that fight after the coil was used, but they do just end up backing off. And again, I think IG feel pretty comfortable if this game keeps on dragging on, then things are looking pretty good.
I think IG are in a really good position right now. Like 2k gold behind, 3k experience behind does not tell the whole story. With that said, I don't think it's by any means like much more than, like I would give IG a slight edge here, but it'd still only be like 60 to 65%. Newbee are going to have a BKB on Enigma fairly soon. They've got Puck who's farming towards the Scythe of Vice, so Newbee is still slightly out farming their opponents. A lot of that was coming from the tower goal, but we'll have to see if that keeps up.
Rubik has the wall.
Ooh. It's a level 1 wall, but
It's still pretty good.
Yeah. Especially if you get an axe image, because those axes will be spinning and be pretty tanky.
Yeah, and if you can keep the axe locked down inside the wall, there's a chance he kills his own image and then summons a new one, and then kills the image and then summons a new one. I remember there was a great bug with the Centaur ult at one point, or
yeah.
I don't think it's even a bug, but if you were standing in the wall with the Centaur ult, the illusion would pop up, you would kill it, and with the ult damage, and then a new one would pop up, and you would kill it again, and you would just go from
I think
like
it was
300
a similar
HP to
thing
nothing.
with a Medusa ultimate as well, because that used to kill illusions, didn't it?
I
I think I've seen a clip with a Medusa in a Darkseer wall, and it did the exact same thing as well.
Yeah, does it not anymore?
I don't know. I imagine it still would.
Yeah, I feel like it still might, but yeah.
Wait, does Medusa ultimate still actually purge off illusions, like it used to?
I think if they're standing around long enough for the duration where a hero would turn to stone, then they get purged. That's my understanding. But I play no Medusa and I haven't seen it in forever, so don't quote me on that one.
No, I used to know like how some of these heroes work pretty perfectly, but they've changed so much recently, and we'll see Newbee now look to realize they need to apply some pressure. They've got the Necrobook 3 up on How. Still very tricky to fight. They want to try to get the Necrobook. I mean, getting onto the axe is fine, because it'll actually burn down his mana, which he does need to be using the Culling Blade in these fights.
Yeah, Newbee should know that the Naga Siren is already up here, because there's no pressure being applied top. Ferrari actually TP'd back a little bit early, but I think the plan was to surge the Songing Naga Siren in, and then try and take the fight after getting a couple in the call. But Newbee, they keep an eye on bottom lane. They realize, oh hey, the Naga Siren isn't split pushing and looking to TP in right as the fight starts, so she's probably here and we probably need to get back.
Yeah.
So good awareness for them. I think things would have gone pretty disastrously if they'd gotten caught out by the song.
Yeah. For Newbee though, I feel like the other reason I feel like they're not in the best spot is they are on the Radiant side. So for IG to get Roshan, I think it's a pretty easy thing to do. They can easily push out lanes using Naga Siren Illusion, force TP's back, and once they feel it's safe, just go into that Roshan pit with Serpent Ward. So I think contesting Roshan's going to be quite hard for Newbee to do. Sure, they've got a decent pushing lineup, but there's just not going to be, it's not going to always be possible to be around that Roshan pit when you've got to push out and defend lanes, especially against the Naga Siren.
Yeah, the Naga Siren functions so similarly to a Furion in this case. Like, just can continuously push top. As soon as you see a TP, you can get into the Roshan pit. And that's the great thing about the roster. You don't need to have, you know, a bunch of... He's one of the few supports, and pretty much the only support that gives you a guaranteed self-contained Roshan. Like, normally if you're on the Dire and you want the hero to exploit Roshan, you need to pick something like an SF or a TA or any of these fast Roshan cores.
Yeah.
Or multiple heroes, a pairing of heroes. But in this case, the Shadow Shaman is just self-contained. Okay, we have the strength that we want to be able to bring down Roshan quickly.
Radiant Ward being planted very defensively here. That's interesting to see. I guess they're realizing they're going to be on the back foot quite a lot, but I'm wondering what their reasoning for this ward is, because I feel like this is an ultra defensive ward here on this cliff.
Yeah, that's a bad sign for Newbee. If they feel that, oh man, we're going to be pinned back behind our tier 2s for a while. This is feeling very reminiscent of a lot of Naga Siren games where the Naga Siren just takes complete control of the map, the team with the Naga starves them out, they take control of both jungles, they get a whole lot of farm, and then it's pretty much up to them to decide when they want the game to end. So I hope we're not at that point just yet. Moo gets caught here by Luo.
The mech will help keep him alive just that little bit longer. He doesn't have the blink available because of the battle hunger. But now IG happy to just use these Serpent Mods to bring down tier 2 towers. I think they realize Roshan's pretty much a guarantee whenever, but these tier 2 towers is what's going to be more important to bring down now, because they take down the tier 2 towers. Contesting Roshan gets even harder. It gets IG more map control, and then once they have the map control, once they're ready to start thinking about pushing high ground, that's when they almost want the Aegis. So getting Aegis this early on, they probably couldn't actually use it to do anything more than take the tier 2 towers, which is not really all that valuable to them.
Yeah, and just making that extra little bit of split pushing space is so important. And they can even just now have the Naga Siren sort of non-stop sitting top, pushing out the wave and farming the entire Dire jungle, and the Darkseer, if he's feeling pretty confident, can just be down bot, farming the majority of the Radiant jungle and keeping bot lane pushed out. So IG are already, I think, feeling very comfortable to just start grinding this game out, and it's up to, I think Newbee really just need to be looking for some smokes, looking for some pickoffs, but do they have that many smokes left? They've got one in the shop, none in inventories, and none on the courier, so it's just the one lone smoke for them right now.
The one nice thing Newbee can think about is, look, if we win a team fight, Lycan pushes fast. That's tier 2s, all tier 2s down maybe, and then if they win another team fight, then you're looking at high ground, tier 3s, Raxes, etc. So for IG, they're playing this cautiously for now because they realize that the team fight of Newbee is bloody scary. You've got Puck, Nyx Assassin, and Enigma, 3 team fight specialists. Rubik's great in team fights as well if he can steal some big spells. I guess, the Darkseer Wall being one of them, the Serpent Wards is nice. Even just a Dazzle Shadow Wave is not too bad, but the big thing is those other 3. The 3 teamfight specialists, Lycan doing the damage as well in a team fight. And if they win a team fight, IG are in trouble. They'll lose towers so fast, and this game will suddenly slip away from them.
Yeah, and we touched on it right at the very start of the draft. We were like, look, there's nothing that's going to beat the Lycan aside from really good execution, just because of how easily you can be, just how much he punishes you for any small mistake. So I think you're right. Newbee still definitely have that big teamfight opportunity, though they have to line up that opportunity is the thing.
Yeah.
You know, IG, if they want to be, they can be very elusive and just split push nonstop. So Newbee are going to have to be very smart, and they may only get 1 or 2 opportunities to instigate a really big team fight before this Naga Siren gets too scary, and they just lose control of the lanes completely.
Yeah, it really feels like, at least the signs that over the last 5-10 minutes from IG are that they are not going to give Newbee a chance to take a single team fight on their own terms. Like, if there's a team fight, it's because Darkseer is going to get set up by a Song of the Siren, or Darkseer gets a perfect engagement. It's not going to happen. Like, Naga Siren's always off on her own, pushing out a lane. The other 3 or 4 heroes are off pushing a lane or doing something of their own, and Newbee now going to go for a smoke. I think they're expecting Roshan here. The Lycan Wall actually going to go into the high ground here, so they're not scouting Roshan just yet. They're making their way towards this mid lane. I think they just realize, like, if this game just continues at the tempo it's going now, they just instantly lose. And they're actually going to smoke into Roshan, but I think he gets scattered. Being pinged by IG. There's a blink, there's a call to follow. Lua's going to just ham in the front lanes. He's got to buy back if he needs it. Pops a blade mail. This is going to give him survivability. Vacuum Wall is there as well. King J now on the run. Shadow Shaman's actually got a kill on the Rubik here. Now Dazzle will go down. Moo on the high ground even using a coil to ensure that kill. Looks like IG aren't done. Oh, the Iron Shell killing off the red Necro. That's a lot of damage onto YYF. He gets really unlucky with that. He's going to go down. Lua is back, though. He's bought back. Gets a 3-hero call. He'll bring down the next assassin. He wants more, but there's a black hole. Has Chuan got any disables? He does. Use a Hex. Chuan. Oh, he's got BKB. No way to actually stop it. And the Courier now coming in as well. The Axe is going to finish off the Enigma. 3 heroes on the sidelines for Newbee. Haste room for Ferrari, and it looks like Moo hanging around. What's he actually up to here? It's a 4th staff. It's Chuan's 4 stuff on the Courier there. What a chaotic teamfight though there. The Axe just went in knowing he had the buyback if they needed it, and he manages to sort of save the teamfight. Vacuums the wolf onto the high ground. What do you make of all that, Basecamp?
I don't know, I feel like the one big thing was that Luo was like 100 units off with his blink. I think he only caught 2 with the initial...
blink.
Yeah, the first blink. I think he only caught 2 with the initial call.
He went in blind. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
There. He didn't know exactly. It's always like tricky in the Roshan pick because you don't know their exact position.
He could have waited for the weave vision, because Faith weaved right after he went in. So maybe he was just he jumped the gun a tiny bit there, but he's Axe. You know, he wants to get right in the thick of things. And I think like they got a little bit of a clue maybe as to what was going on, because Newbee sent the wolves out and they maybe got scouted by the obs in the sentry. So they were like, oh man, they could actually be in Roshan already. It could be really low, and that might explain you know, why Axe wants to jump in right away, because he has no idea how much health Roshan has left.
Well, Axe, even after buying back, he's right up to 3k gold, so Luo is bloody farmed here. Maybe he wants to just pick up some like boots of travel so he can open up an item slot, then pick up another big item later on. But I think IG going to be really happy with how that fight went, all things considered. The Aegis is now on their side. And, well, Newbee, once again, being thwarted. It was a cute little attempt to try smoke into Roshan there, but IG were just a bit too prepared for it.
Yeah, they tried to make a play and they got swatted down for it, so nicely done by IG.
It did cost them 2 buybacks. Like, no buybacks used by Newbee. Darkseer as well as Axe both had to buy back, so that's going to slow down YYF especially, who's trying to build a Shiver's Guard.
Yeah, and I kind of like how Newbee are
bottom tower
playing this.
is
They're
under
looking for
attack.
pickoffs with the Nyx Assassin. They're taking all of the farm that's available to them, so they're not actually falling behind that quickly as far as gold and experience are concerned. And like you said, if they win a fight,
Radiant's bottom
then
tower is
these
under
tier 2s
attack.
just aren't really obstacles at all. I mean, the Lycan already has his BKB. He's actually working his way towards a Maelstrom right now, so a little bit more push power on the way for him. And yeah, I think things are dangerous as far as the late game is concerned against the Naga Siren. Like, dealing with a 6-slotted Naga is always going to be tough, but I think we've also seen a lot of teams fall apart against the Naga Siren because they just think, oh man, we have to push, we have to push, we have to push, we have to push, like we're going to lose the game no matter what. But Newbee are taking a slightly more considered approach here, and we'll see if it works out for them. It could end up being that the Naga Siren just carries the game, but it means that Newbee aren't putting themselves in a position where they make sloppy plays and they just get completely punished by the Naga split push and the Darkseer team fight.
Yeah. They're dealing with the split push well. They're just also prioritizing getting up their own items, saying, look, you may have a Naga Siren late game, but just even having our initiators and our utilitiers having farm is a big thing. Like, Zhao Wei with a 4-star and Blink Dagger. Puck has finished the Hex now, so they've got the Scythe of Vice on their side. And pretty much, I think Newbee are looking still okay. Like, they're by no means in the clear. But this is still anyone's game as far as depending on how these next few fights go. IG have the edge just because they've got the better late game carry. Darkseer, of course, also another late game hero, but Newbee still have options available to them.
Yeah, and the Darkseer is actually going to be a really nice late gamer here, especially against the Lycan. You know, getting an illusion with Vlad's and everything else is no joke.
I think he's just said, I'm not going Assault Crest. He picks up the Maelstrom, so he's going to build into that Mjolnir, which is becoming oh so popular on a lot of carry heroes. And I like this against the Naga Siren illusions especially. Like, Naga Siren's pushing a lane. Mjolnir's great at actually pushing it back because it procs so freely on that radiance. Mjolnir a really nice pickup here, I think, instead of the Assault Crest, considering you're against the Darkseer.
Yeah, and Naga illusions are just absurdly difficult to kill with right clicks. Like, the hero's base armor is already ridiculous. She's got good agility growth at 2.75, and then she builds nothing but agility items on top of that. So, you know, you can see a late game Naga Siren end up with like 30 armor, and that just makes the illusions ungodly tanky. But when you've got the Chain Lightning bouncing around, and you've got the Static Charge procs as well, you're definitely in a much better position as far as clearing up those illusions is concerned. And because of the Radiance, the Static Charge is pretty much going to be proccing off cooldown every second. So that's 200 DPS in AoE for Newbee. And that's a pretty nice thing to have.
Bro going to show himself bottom lane. The rest of his team, though, they're smoked up, off in their own jungle, looking for anyone on Newbee who might be pushing this top lane. And that's how. The question is, do Newbee expect these heroes to be bottom behind the Naga Siren, or are they expecting them somewhere else? And for now, Hao says, I don't know where they are, I'm going to hide, and it's a decision that will probably save his life for now. As it looks like, actually, Ferrari TP's back up top, so IG could be considering going for a bit of a push here.
Oh man, that was so lucky for Zhao Wei. He was about to go up the hill, but then Hao sends the wolves, and IG give away the fact that they have a sentry ward there by attacking the wolves. So Zhao Wei manages to back out and doesn't get caught. So that was just really nice play again from Hao with the wolf micro, constantly scouting at all times.
We got
Dire's
Newbee.
middle
Now,
tower
I
is
think
under
actually
attack.
no push coming on this tier 2 tower. Newbee doing a good job of pressuring this mid lane, even just with an Enigma. Lure went looking for that blink call. He's actually gone back for a BKB on the axe. I guess against all this disable and lockdown, Nyx, Rubik, and Puck, well worth it. The black hole's the only thing to worry about. The problem is, the only thing to cancel black hole is a blink call from axe, which is kind of tricky to do when he's already casting black hole. So.
Oh, there's a net as well.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing is IG just aren't going to be ever grouped up that much so that more than maybe 2 heroes, or maybe 3 if you're
Radiant's
lucky, get
middle
caught in a
tower
black
is
hole. Like,
under
Faith
attack.
is always going to be sitting really far back. Same for your Shadow Shaman. And Nagasaran, I feel like, doesn't want to be in the front lines either. So I feel like it's going to be like the Darkseer and the Axe who are most likely in court, not many
Radiant
other heroes.
structures are fortified.
Yeah, I think the only
Radiant's
time that
middle
IG's
tower
positioning
is
will
under
probably
attack.
falter a little bit is if the axe catches somebody and then they all go in, then maybe there's an opportunity for a big coil or a big black hole. But they're really disciplined players anyway.
We have Vacuum catching out too. The follow up with the Weave as well. How going to pop the BKB and ulti? He's trying to find the target here. It's going to go on Luo. Luo, where's your Aegis? It's just
Radiant's
expired.
middle tower has
The
fallen.
timing is not good for IG. They've lost their Aegis already. Song of the Siren being used. Maybe they want to try and focus on how the BKB Enigma, though. Get some Maleficent on the high ground. That's going to be the death of Chuan, it looks like. Meanwhile, the Lycan kills off the Dazzle. The chase is on, and Newbee aren't done. They want more. Not going to find too much more, but that's a good pushback. They do lose their tier 2 tower, but they get both the 2
Radiant's
support
bottom
heroes.
tower is under attack.
I don't really... Losing a tier 2 at this stage is not that terrible, so alright.
Yeah, and it could have been
Radiant's
so
top
much
tower
bigger
is
for
under
Newbee as
attack.
well. Like, the only reason that King J didn't just blink in and immediately Malethus or Black Hole was that the
Dire's
Serpent
middle
Wards
tower
actually
is
hit him
under
when he had his
attack.
BKB up.
Dire's
So they put his
structures
blink
are
dagger on
fortified.
cooldown and he couldn't quite close the gap there.
Luo's looking for a 3v5 defense. I think IG's thinking here is like, hey look, we're 3v5, they won't expect us to go in, and they'll do just that. Luo goes in, gets immediately Hex, Hal taking a lot of damage, does get the shapeshift off. Vacuum, but there's no follow-up, and looks like counter vacuum coming in from the Ruby. Now there's a blink onto the high, 4 stuff onto the high ground. Banana gonna get locked down. He gets dunked. IG only find 1 kill though, and nice disengage from Newbee.
Yeah, it looks like YYF got mana burn, so he didn't have enough for the wall, and then Jawade also managed to carapace the vacuum damage.
Jawade's
So
playing
he got
ridiculously
stunned.
well this game.
Oh, Jawade is playing really well this game.
His score does not say it. It's 1-3-6, but he's had some clutch holds. Like, he's always the one on the front lines. Like, that push at mid lane on the TT tower, he ran directly into the Serpent Wards and the Axe and just set up a good fight using his Impales and Carapace. Like, he's playing like an Axe would, like, just manly Dota on the front line.
Yeah, and you know he's calling all the shots as well. It's Xiao8, so he's doing this while orchestrating all of this really nice map movement that's going on as well. So props to him.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
There's a Heart of Taras now up on the Naga Siren, and that's a bit of a worry here. Last T3 tower's going to go down. No deny from Hal.
Radiant's top tower
He's got the
has
money for a
fallen.
Mjolnir here. We'll have to see if he looks to buy it or if he just tries to save for buyback. I'm not sure if this is a game where you can be thinking about saving for buyback too much, but all the T2 towers down. The problem is, like, how do Newbee ever push out without winning a team fight? If IG want to play this, like, as safe as possible, they just stall this game for 60, 70 minutes, just keep throwing illusions and just chip away at these T3 towers bit by bit. At the same time, like, Newbee will get more farm during that time.
Yeah.
Radiant's
They can
middle
farm up
tower
more
is
cheese
under
than they can
attack.
carry, and then maybe try and make their way up into the high ground. I hope that doesn't happen, but it does say that, you know, it does go to show that IG can sort of sit back, take advantage of Roshan, and go from there.
Well, 10 kills apiece, 40 minutes into the game. This is just game 1 of our 2-game series here between IG and Newbee. The more anticipated, well, I don't know about the most anticipated. LGD and DK was definitely, well, I don't think this series is going to live up to LGD versus DK. We had a DK Meepo pick earlier today. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, nice.
MMY
Yeah,
played
actually,
a support
I caught
Meepo.
I caught that game. Yeah, that was so back and forth until the very, very end.
It was one of those
And-
games where it looked like there was like some kind of big throws, but both teams were just forced to take some really big risks to try stay in the game, and a lot of those risks didn't pay off. Like, Zhao Tuji looked like a huge thrower in that game, but he was just trying to make plays happen.
Yeah, and late game decision making is so difficult and so much more. You know, the balance of information is so much more one-sided. Like in the mid game, casters versus players, we have similar amounts of information available. Late game, nobody's got wards, nobody's got information about buybacks on either team, so
Yeah.
it gets really, really, really tricky. Newbee were actually making their way up there to try and find something. They had the wolves again doing some really nice scouting from How, and
IG
they were
really
going
need
to
a
try and
gem,
find
like,
a pick-off.
They haven't had a gem. Oh, okay, they have one now in the Naga, but they need the gem for the Lycan Wolves as well as the Nyx
Yeah.
Assassin Vendetta, and they got a, I think this gem was only recently bought, like, the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, how much work have the Serpent Wards been doing this game?
It's-
Like,
They-
Rasta, a good hero.
I think if you look at, like, damage output this game, I think Serpent Wards would be, like, well, the Shadow Shaman would be up there just because of these Serpent Wards.
And it lets IG push towers without ever committing. They walk up, they put down the Serpent Wards, they all just kind of stand around and posture, 800 units back, and the only thing that needs to be hitting the tower is the Serpent Wards. And that's
Dire's
just,
top tower is under
that's
attack.
enormously valuable for them right now. Otherwise, they would have to be putting, they would have to take a longer time just sending Naga Siren Illusions at it, or, they would have to put heroes in harm's way to be able to push down these towers.
And they'll often back off, like, they'll drop the Serpent Wards and won't even stay around to see the tower go down. Like, they'll back off and let the Serpent Wards finish off the tower, not caring if it gets denied or not. Just because it's pretty hard to deny against Serpent Wards to begin with, but mostly just to play it as safe as possible. I'm kind of surprised Twan just didn't go for an Ag Scepter. Like, the Blink 4 stuff is fantastic and all, like, he's trying to stay alive for teamfights, but they're avoiding teamfights. They're actually playing this kind of just split push style, which is where Aghanim Scepters are maybe a little better, but I guess his reasoning is teamfights will come eventually. Like, they're not going to win this game without a teamfight, so he wants to have the best possible items for that teamfight.
Yeah, there is no way in hell that Newbee let IG walk up to their tier 3s and just plop down Serpent Wards if everybody is alive. I think for sure Newbee are going to start looking for much cheekier plays. Like, they reveal 2 heroes up on the high ground and then they smoke, 2 of the initiators and somebody else around from the side and just look for the pincer, something like that. Just because, like you said, if IG get the opportunity, they'll come up and they will drop the Serpent Wards for 50 HP on the tier 3 or the range strats,
Yeah.
and they'll be happy to just back off and do it again.
It's just chip away at your opponents bit by bit. The Naga Siren Illusions can do the same thing. Now, he's going to catch up Faith here. If this Dazzle dies, it's a big loss. Faith is low. He's going to go down in the puck. Dead Dazzle. Meanwhile, the main fight's going on here. King J's popped his BKB. They're going to lose the Axie, but he's got the Aegis. He's going to respawn any second. Song of the Siren trying to buy some time for IG. Hasn't caught out anyone. The BKB's still there. Looks like Banana going to go in. He's taking a lot of damage from the Serpent Wards. Luo's now showing up. He catches a huge call. King J gets chopped to pieces. The chase is on. Do they go for How here? He's off in the side here. He will get called instead. Something. There we go. Insnare will catch him out. How will go down. That's going to be the 3rd kill going the way of IG.
Triple kill.
And Move is forced to blink his way out. Triple kill for Lua on the Axe. You talk about the Naga Siren deciding the fate of this game. I think it's Lua's Axe that's deciding the outcome of this game right now.
Yeah, some really manly plays. And that call on the Enigma was so clutch. He realized that the Enigma was trying to skirt away to the edges of the fight, and they had Black Hole and they had the stolen vacuum on the Rubik, so Newbee were like a fraction of a second away from vacuuming everybody into a black hole, but he got the call. Not by being able to blink and call, but he just managed to run up, and Black Hole stays available, but IG definitely win the fight.
Yeah. We'll take another look at that last fight. They managed to they got the pick off on the Dazzle and everything. Like, Dazzle had no buyback. Enigma walked in with the BKB. The problem was, as soon as Darkseer saw him running in, he just ran. He knew Luo had the Aegis, so if Luo dies, it doesn't matter. And as a result, the BKB from King J was entirely wasted. I think King J, end of the day, misplayed that fight. He walked in with a BKB, expecting it for good Black Hole, and couldn't find it because of the Aegis and because of the Darkseer's play. And end result, Axe just respawns and cleans everyone up. That's where being on the Dire side, having a Roshan advantage in the late game is just huge. It's game breaking, and that's where IG. If they swap sides here, even though they've got the Naga Siren, like, you'd give Newbee the slight edge in the late game.
Yeah, the fact that the Axe can just completely Rambo in, do a ton of damage, maybe find 1 kill before he goes down, and just put his team in a perfect position as well before he dies with the Aegis, and then come back up and continue going is fantastic for them. Like you said, the Darkseer knew that he could just let the Axe do his thing, wait for Newbee to try and collapse and work at their position. They were kind of scrabbling a little bit, and then he could just saunter up and do his own thing.
Puck gonna go back for some Dagon now, so he wants damage up. Well, he wants the burst damage, which is gonna be ideal for, like, if he wants to go on the Dazzle and try solo kill the Dazzle, he needs this extra burst damage from a Dagon. Similarly for the Shadow Shaman, you talk about Shadow Shaman just walking up, plopping down wards on tier 3 towers. You have to kill him instantly with burst damage. That's where this Dagon is actually a pretty good pickup, because the longer this game goes, Newbee's damage output's not that impressive. Lycan's probably the only one with actual damage, and he can get kited around, insnared up, caught up by a blink call from Axe. So Puck, I feel, needs to become like in some ways just a semi-carry with his damage output, which is going to be Dagon 5.
Yeah, and the all or nothing nature of the Enigma is kind of showing up a little bit in this game as well. Like if King J is jamming 4 manholes every single fight for the whole game, this looks like the easiest game for Newbee. But if IG are just spending the time to make sure that he's not able to get in a good position, then all of a sudden he feels really like a non-factor. So it's tough for King J because you know, you can throw a black hole. There could be a song, especially if you're BKBs. Towards the end of its duration, there's always the potential for the Naga Siren and Snare. And the chances that Ferrari is on the front lines in these fights is like absolutely 0. He's always going to be hanging back, ready for a song to disengage or ready to try and run in range to be able to get an Snare off. So decision making for King J is just so hard. And he can only blink when he's BKB'd as well, so he has to blink. He has to BKB proactively before he gets touched by the Radiance when you've got max move speed illusion.
Yeah, apparently in that last fight he was being hit by a Naga illusion. Someone saw. And the other thing is, like, even with the BKB on, Naga Siren illusions, if Ferrari's microing them, he just clicks one on the Enigma. So even in BKB, his blink can still be cancelled. I think he also maybe messed up in the last fight. I had Come With Me who messaged me saying, like, he used Midnight Pulse and then he didn't have mana for the black hole.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of a disaster if that actually happens.
Yeah, that's ugh. Yeah, you don't even want to think about that. That's like the little split-second things that can completely change the.
At the same time, like getting a Midnight Pulse off with a black hole can change the fight into your favor. Like that extra bit of percent-based damage onto tanky heroes like Naga Siren, who's up to 2.6 HP, is maybe needed. So I mean, you can't really blame him completely for it, but he needs to match that mana. The Naga Siren does have a Diffusal Blade, which also messes with his mana pool.
Yeah, and he's also carrying the mech, so yeah, life is pretty difficult as far as mana calculations go.
Like he's kind of fulfilling the role of the Axe. Like these team fights come down to him, except the Axe had the luxury in that fight of having an Aegis. Like Axe got caught out, but he had an Aegis, so he gets a second chance. Enigma, you've got that one chance to go big. Now we're looking at more purchases. Assault Crest is picked up by the Lycan, so Darkseid will be definitely looking for this Lycan with his Wall of Replica. And Puck, more Dagons coming his way. Dagon 3 now completed. Still has the money for a buyback if needed.
So the Naga Siren is almost pretty much completely finished farming. Like we're just talking about making sure that you have buyback, and then you can buy back BOT into the fights. And then I guess after that you start getting the really stupid accessory items. Like you have a refresher and it just waits in your stash, so you can refresh your song and things like that.
A Necro 3, which you carry around on a courier with you.
Yeah. You can sub out your Radiance with a crit as well. Like if you feel really or you can have your base illusions summoned with Radiance, and then you put the crit in, and then you summon your Manta illusions with the crit. There's like all sorts of stupid things that you can do, but for all intents and purposes, Ferrari's pretty much maxed out right now.
Anything on top of this is just going to be minor boost to how much damage and how effective he is in a fight. At the same time, small things can make a difference, so we'll see what he looks to do, but Newbee are they're stuck on their side of the map. They're really limited as far as options go in this game.
Yeah, and they refuse to make a play that could put them in a compromising position and lose the game. So it looks like we're just kind of in a little bit of a stalemate right now, because IG, by the same token, they know that if they're the aggressors, then they can get caught out by a really nice team fight, and then the Lycan can swing down and take a bunch of their towers. I mean, they have a little bit more of a cushion because they still have tier 2s, and they still have their glyph available, but they don't want to risk anything here.
Yep. Well, yeah, IG, they'll be waiting, most importantly, for the next Roshan. They'd love another Aegis on this Axe. He actually doesn't have the items for it after buying this Halberd. I imagine he'll maybe drop or /sell his Vanguard for the Aegis.
Yeah, I don't think you...
He definitely needs the Aegis more than anyone. Like, you can put it on someone like a Darkseer, but I think Axe is by far the most valuable hero on the IG side.
Yeah, and Newbee just haven't been able to find the Darkseer or the Naga in the back of these fights. IG's positioning has been really good as far as just making sure Axe is at the front. Some less important, the supports are sort of behind him, ready to back him up. And then YYF and Ferrari are always taking their time to make sure that they're safe.
Yep. Well, we'll see IG continuing to maintain their map control. They're spending time in the enemy jungle, which is partly to farm out the enemy jungle, but also at the same time, make sure there's no wards up for Newbee to look to just get any vision, any map control whatsoever. And they know Roshan respawning sometime in the next minute and a half, and it's going to be pretty much close to the middle of that from where we are now. Naga Siren's buying gem for the teams. You have all this money, you buy the gems, you buy the wards. I like this. This is something which you often don't actually see when you have these super farm carries. It'll still be the supports buying the wards, and it's just like a small thing that the carry hero should buy all the wards, all the smokes, all the gems you need.
Yeah, and this is again where I wonder aloud if the sentry ward gold pooling has been fixed. Oh man, nice blink from Chuan. He catches out How.
That was huge. That was so clutch from Chuan. He blink and get just in range for the shackles. That was some Stretch Armstrong shackles there from Chuan. Heavy lifting. And that's a big... I mean, sure he has buyback, but that's still a big pick-off. And he loses to
This
T2
roster's
tower
done
as
so
well,
much
but-
work. Like, the hero pick and... Oh wow, Moo gets caught mid as well. Lure comes in.
Middle tower
Moo
is
may be
under
going
attack.
down here. He does it buyback again, but this is just Newbee getting caught out unnecessarily. We'll have to see if there is going to be a puck blink. The Song of the Siren's there. He's going to get dunked. Now they're going to get Zhao Wei as well. Zhao Wei does not have buyback. Is there going to be another dunk? Not going to come. Luo is now godlike. Puck going to buy back. Lycan will have to buy back as well. Nyx Assassin, no buyback for you. Double buybacks to IG. Do they retreat here? I don't
Roshan's
know if
up.
they have. Yeah, Roshan's up. They've got no mana for Serpent Wards. If they had Serpent Wards, I think they just push on. But unfortunately, no mana for Serpent Wards, and I think they're going to just back off. Happy with the 3 kills plus 2 buybacks. Easy teamfight victory.
Yeah, that was an absolute disaster for Newbee there. Like, if it was only the Lycan, then they can kind of say, okay, well, we got a tier 2, we made a little bit of progress, and we made a mistake, but things are still looking okay. But then getting both the puck and the Nyx Assassin as well, which is a huge win for IG. And now they know that if they kill either of the 2 heroes that just pop back, they're feeling very confident to be able to push up onto the high ground. And Newbee just that smallest... It's not even a lapse, right? It's the Lycan making the conscious decision to play aggressively, and he's got the shapeshift. He thinks, okay, there's no way that anybody can catch me now, and didn't pop the BKB defensively, but
And it was a domino effect.
IG
He gets picked off, then Newbie think, okay, there's 2-3 heroes top who just killed Lycan. We can be a little more reckless in the mid lane, but it wasn't the case. Axe showed up just moments after with a boots of travel TP in.
yeah. So I wonder, is the we said there isn't really a draft that wins you the game against Lycan, but it seems like the Axe is a really solid, solid pick to deal with it and combo with the Naga Siren as well. Things almost passed perfectly from the early game to the mid game. Like, the only thing that you can point out for Newbee, I think, where things really went wrong was when they dove that tier 1 mid and they got songed and the Axe turned things around and they punished them with like 2 kills for 1, and that recent, those recent deaths for the Lycan as well. But aside from that, I feel like they just haven't. They haven't made many risky plays, so I guess they've made less mistakes as a result of that. But I don't think you can point to particular failings of anyone here. I guess also that Enigma mana miscalculation cost them pretty big.
I mean, the main person you can point towards is King J. Like, if it gets to a point like who's most at fault for this game, I think you say King J. I don't think you can say King J's played horrible. I think he's by far had the toughest role to play in this game. Like, playing an Enigma is always the most high pressure role on your team. Not to mention in a game like this where hitting black holes is what's going to potentially decide a fight. So I don't think you can really blame him, but you can definitely say, look, if he'd had bigger black holes, this game would have gone better. But
yeah,
I think a lot of it does come down to, like, I think Naga Siren generally actually is a good hero as a carry to match up against Lycan, because you can stall and defend so well once you have the Radiance. If you don't lose the early game, I think Naga Siren probably wins more than it loses against the Lycan, assuming the early game goes okay. I think if you looked at like their head-to-head records, it would be maybe slightly Lycan favored just because of the early game generally being won by the Lycan.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see like head-to-head record as a function of time, right? Like in a game that makes it past 30 minutes, who tends to win? Or in games where the Naga Siren finishes the Radiance with tier 3s still up, who wins?
Well, there's your Serpent Wards drop just to chip away at the tier 3 tower. They get it below half HP. Now Naga Siren Illusions are next up. They're just going to keep chipping, and Faith, he's sitting back, healing people up, and Illusion's just going to keep on going, and Newbee just don't have a way to break out. Like, they're not going to GG out. They've still got a huge team fight with an Enigma Black Hole, the Puck, the Dagons, whatever it may be, but problem is, end of the day, like, unless IG slip up, they're not winning this game, and IG is showing incredible patience. They're going full Rat Dota style, where you just send illusions, you don't take any chance. Not even really Rat Dota, but just the most cautious siege possible. Now,
Oh, and how? Outside the base?
He's being called out. There's a nice 4-star that keeps him alive just a little bit longer, buys him time for the BKB as well as the ult. He has the Mjolnir on himself now. Dazzle going to be the first one to go down. King J's in the BKB form. Black Hole gets completely PGG'd. He's going to keep casting it, just accepts the fact that he screwed up. Now Luo going to get a nice 2-hero call. He's trying to just cleave him down. He's got the Aegis as well. He'll die. He'll respawn as well. This is a disaster for Newbee. Buyback from your Enigma, but he hasn't even got a Black Hole. How on the run? 4-stars back. The call is going to catch him. Luo's going to dunk. He's not going to even need it. He gets silenced up by Moo. Moo going to maybe orb himself to the low ground. Will Dagon off the Shadow Shaman. Zaps him down. King J blinks in. Wishes he had a Black Hole there. Will get the Darkseer. Buyback from Darkseer. From Shadow Shaman. Ferrari now getting to work on these buildings. He's got no HP, no mana though. Has to be a bit careful. Another dunk from Luo. He's beyond God, like 12, 1, and 7. The hero of this game. Luo has just been an absolute monster on Axe.
Radiant's middle barracks.
Yeah, what a dunk master this game, and yeah, show it. He's got nothing left in his playbook. Gonna call the GG.
You know, Luo, when he joined this team, like, I don't think he's the most, like, impressive carry player like someone like Burning is, or someone like Jaltuji or Sylar is, but he's got such a diverse hero pool. That's the big thing that impresses me every time I see him play. He'll play, every now and then, like, YYF will go carry lifesteal, and he'll play offlane. He can play carry invokers. He plays any hero IG need him to, and he does it to a fantastic level of play. That, to me, is where I think IG adding Luo to their team has really strengthened them as a team overall.
Yeah, I think a couple of people early on when he joined were like, okay, well, where's he going to go? He's not a better mid than Ferrari, so he's not mid. He's not a better offlaner than YYF, so he's not offlane. So I guess he's just being fit into the carry role. But that is definitely not what has happened with the way that IG are playing with him. And like you said, he's had some really great performances, and I think he's been playing a really nice variety of heroes as well. Like early on, when the team first picked him up, he was running the Brewmaster and all of these off the wall kind of safe lane tempo controllers.
He's a carry player who doesn't like carry. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other players who really like play that kind of style of carry player, like on the top of my head. Like I kind of, well, I don't know. Havos plays the very aggressive carry roles, but he's normally on like a traditional like gyrocopters, your weavers. He'll actually be on a carry hero, whereas Luo half the time is just on like a utility hero, an initiator.
Yeah, I think if in terms of style, you look at like EG, for example, like often
with Mason.
the one position falls more to Arteezy, and then Mason is on more of a semi-carry, but it's definitely not in the same vein. You know, it's Brewmaster and Initiators versus Mirana and Storm and semi-carries. But I guess that would be, you know, the one comparison that I would draw.
He gets the MVP of the match. I don't think anyone's arguing that one. So, Luo takes our Game 1 MVP. We've got Game 2 coming up next. IG versus Newbee. Pretty big series so far. Game 1 delivers pretty well. There was definitely some downtime in that game, but it was still exciting in the end as well. Saw some unconventional picks. So, guys, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, myself, Gods, as well as Baseskip will be bringing you Game 2 between IG and Newbee. Don't go anywhere. Stay in your seats. Game 2 coming up shortly.